These are the kind of gutters. Some of y'all not gonna hear me, but when it comes to peace of mind, you gotta strip a lot of the things in your life. Shit, I gotta make sure I'm hearing myself. You know, this phone got a hold on a lot of people, sometimes me. But some of the best, happiest, most peaceful moments, you know, the kind of moments we truly desire, that we constantly do everything for, right? For just that peace of mind, right? Family good, family straight, safe, fed, you know, rent taken care of. You know, you feel comfortable in those moments. You feel at peace. You're not stressing. Think about the next thing. How you gonna do this? How you gonna do that? Just present, man. To feel that. We don't need as much as we think we do. Like, that feeling is available at all times. You feel me? In the present, it's available at all times. We don't necessarily have to have something in place for us to feel that. We can simply just feel it. We can just feel it. So, with that being said, I'm gonna hop off this video. I'm just walking, y'all. Just out here. Really letting God mold me. Like, I'm really out here. I'm really doing the work. Y'all religious, but y'all allow yourselves to be distracted and consumed with the wickedness that is in America. You know, y'all don't take the time to get closer to God. God is a natural and a spiritual entity, essence, energy. You know, you hear it in places of stillness. You hear that voice. You feel that connection in places of stillness. It don't get more still than just being in pure nature, you know, looking at these clouds. Anyway, yeah. So, one of my earliest memories is of my dad holding me as a young, very small child. And we were dancing, you know, he was swaying me around. I was on his hip or on him, and we were dancing to reggae music. And I'm very fond of that memory because as a daddy's girl and as a person who has developed her own unique relationship with Rastafari and with Ital Living, I just think it's so special, and I feel so blessed because my dad could have been into any religion. You know, he could have been Islamic. He could have been whatever. And I just love that he instilled in me and planted in me at a very young age a seed that would eventually lead me to want to visit Ethiopia, to study more about the Rasta movement and study more about Jamaica, to listen to reggae music, to listen to roots music, and to pray more, to meditate more, to eat healthy, to be outside in the sun. Like, all these things are related to who I am as a daughter of a Rasta. And now my dad's relationship with it was complicated because he was born out here in America, as were his parents, and this country is crazy. Like, there's really no other way to say it, but this country is intense. And it is harsh and unforgiving. And I feel like my dad's journey as a Rasta would have looked very different if he lived in somewhere like Belize. Like I was showing earlier in the video, my time in Belize. Or if he lived in any Caribbean island where there are Rasta people there, people who follow Rasta principles. And I don't know a lot about everything, but what I do know and what I do prioritize myself is the food, right? So eating Ital, right? It is livity, it's food for vitality, it's food that has been charged by the sun, it is clean food, it is food that is not a product of the matrix, it is not fake, fabricated, phony food. It is real food from the earth, from Mother Nature, clean food, you know, not fleshy food, like not food with a bunch of dairy in it or anything like that, you know, fruits and vegetables, legumes and beans and nuts and seeds and grains and that type of food. I resonate heavily with that, with drinking water, with having very limited alcohol. And I like bitters as well, you know, some soursop me. Soursop me, please. Like, just food that is grown in the most tropical places, in the most tropical regions, near the equator, the warmest, wettest places. I resonate with that. I've always resonated with that. I clearly don't live in that environment right now, but, you know, I'm just being patient with my journey and understanding that each season that I'm in it for a reason, and just to be present and to be grateful overall. So those are more principles that I have just as a daughter of a Rasta. It's just like gratitude and just thanking God for everything, and like reciprocity, giving back to kids, to respecting our elders, respecting the children, seeing them as our equal, seeing them in high regard, you know, just like seeing everybody, our brothers, our sisters, seeing everybody in high regard, just having a balance in life, having harmony in life with everything that we do, you know, not being too obsessive, like being able to check ourselves, being responsible for our lives, and just so many different things. Also radical liberation, you know what I mean? Like radical freedom, and knowing that our minds are ultimately something that no one else can really take away from us. Like our freedom of our minds and just being mentally strong, I feel like is a value that I have, cultivating mental strength, and also, and you know, mental agility, and also what was I gonna say? Mental agility, it slips me, but yeah, those are just some of the things. I don't want this video to be too long, but yeah, I know for sure I want to travel to Ethiopia and see everything that's happening out there. I know I'm going to be embraced. I guess the last thing I'll mention is that I have had dreadlocks before. Locks, dreadlocks, whatever. I have had my hair natty, very natty, and I've saved my last set of locks. I cut off my first set. I saved my second set, and I plan to reinstall them and reattach them. I be having dandruff though, so I need to get that under control. I do obviously have a problem with yeast and sugar, but it is something that I am working on. And yeah, I'm just not perfect. I'm not a perfect person, and I never said I was, but I think that I strive to be the best I can be. You know, I strive to do harm to as little as humanly possible and do good to as many as possible. You know, that's just, I live a simplicity. I think I live a simple life. You know, I don't need to eat the most extravagant things. I like simplicity. You know, I like rising with the sun, going to sleep with the sun, just aligning my life with nature, and you know, I like variety too, but I like to just read, to journal, drink water, make juices, swim in the ocean, you know, go walking, go running, use my body, grow food, cultivate food, work with the land, teach the children, listen to the elders. Like, it's simple. Go with the seasons. When there's hardships in our life, just try to see the good in it. Try to see how this is molding and shaping us into being a better person. Not getting too overwhelmed, just staying with the breath. And things like that. I mean, I don't know how much of that is really like Rasta principles, but I just think even just like the 42 principles or laws of Ma'at, I feel like that's another system of rules and principles and morals and values that I live by and align by. And while I don't study them as much as I should, I feel my heart and my spirit ultimately is aligned with those kinds of philosophies. And it's hard out here in America thinking like that, but I just think of it as a challenge, because it's like, if you can stay steady, if you can stay strong in who you are and who you believe, when everything around you is baddies this, bust down wigs that,
BBL this, you know, drinking that, pop a pill this, buying expensive bags that, materialism,
you know what I mean? Like, if I can stay who I am, true to who I am, then once I do live in the promised land, then it'll have all been worth it, and it will feel that much more gratifying, because I survived this wicked matrix. So with that being said, yeah, I am who I am, and I love who I am. Bye.